Terkadang hati kita pun terpana menatap gemilau dunia. Terkadang suara hati pun meronta, rasakan palsunya dunia. Hadirkan cinta, satukan rasa di dada, pancarkan kasih pada sesama, bahagialah semesta. Jauhkan diri dari amarah di hati, agar seluruh alam berseri menyambut indahnya dunia ini.
Selamat pagi Ibu Cutima. Namo Buddhaya. Sawadikap. For all my Thailand friend. Good morning, Namo Buddhaya. Selamat pagi. Pak Waluyo, can you test your mic please?
Iya, selamat pagi Mr. Edi. Selamat pagi Mas Ardi dan teman-teman semua.
Pak Waluyo bisa admit participants? Co-host
Bisa.
Oke. Pak Marjo, test mic please.
Siap.
Oke, mungkin silakan dimulai untuk share video dan sesuai rundown.
Oke, terima kasih. Dilanjut.
Silakan Pak Marjo.
Live streaming YouTube mungkin udah bisa mulai ya Mas awal ya, supaya continue. This is the video of Baja training conducted by cooperation between Sriwijaya State Buddhist College of Tangerang, Banten and Dhammakaya Temple in Bangkok, Thailand.
Seperti burung terbang dari sangkarnya, terbang tinggi tanpa penyesalan, mencari hidup yang lebih bermakna, terus mencari hingga di mana. Hanya dengan 3 coba, siang malam bahagia berbagi damai. Hanya dengan kebutuhan pokok, hidup dari dana yang percaya, melatih diri dengan bermeditasi, dengan kanta vipassana setiap saat. Hargai Dhamma lebih dari diri, berharap lepas dari samsara. Seperti burung terbang dari sangkarnya, terbang tinggi tanpa penyesalan, mencari hidup yang lebih bermakna, terus mencari hingga nirvana. Berjuang membantu dunia, mengatasi penderitaan, seperti matahari terang, jadikan dunia bahagia. Inilah hidup para samana, abdikan diri mencari kebenaran. Kepada Sang Buddha mereka berjanji, berjuang hingga akhir dan kalahkan mara. Seperti burung terbang dari sangkarnya, terbang tinggi tanpa penyesalan, mencari hidup yang lebih bermakna, terus mencari hingga nirvana. Seperti burung terbang dari sangkarnya, terbang tinggi tanpa penyesalan, mencari hidup yang lebih bermakna, terus mencari hingga nirvana. Seperti burung terbang dari sangkarnya, terbang tinggi tanpa penyesalan, mencari hidup yang lebih bermakna, terus mencari hingga nirvana.
the vision and the missions hosted by Sriwijaya State Buddhist College of Tangerang, Banten. thank you for the organizers and the whole committee who have already prepared the videos, the slides, and the contents that have been previewing a while ago. Let me check whether Venerable Pasura is already here with us. Hello, Venerable. Bu Chutima, acknowledge. Maybe Bu Chutima, can you assign co-host?
Okay, now I can.
Okay. Thank you. As Venerable Pasura is already here with us, so let me start the special lecture today. Venerable and most venerables, Rector of Sriwijaya State Buddhist College of Tangerang, Banten, dear academic fellows, ladies and gentlemen who are now in front of the screen, and everybody who already have been waiting patiently in live stream YouTube, I would like to say thank you for your patience waiting for this event to get started. First of all, please receive my metta in Dhamma, Namo Buddhaya, Soti Hotu for all of us right here. And for my Thailand friends who are now being with us, Sawadee Krap. I'm so delighted today because we have special event to invite our mentor, our teacher, our Bante, Most Venerable Pasura, who are check audio check. Sorry, I need to check the audio. Who are now staying in Bangkok, Thailand. For Sriwijaya family, Most Venerable is not strange for us because he has been here a while ago and become our teachers in our ordinations, and also giving us many opportunities to learn Dhamma with him. So today, in this special topic, we would like to tackle the topic entitled Building Tranquility of Mind, Body, and World amid pandemic COVID-19 outbreaks. We know that even in Thailand and Indonesia, we are now in the worst situations facing the pandemic. The government has been working so hard, and we are also now still locking down at our own house, building the tranquility situations, developing compassions and also positive quality of our mind and also our body and our world. And today we will learn passionately and carefully to the topic that will be delivered by Most Venerable Pasura Dantamano. Venerable Pasura Dantamano is a chief of international relations at Wat Phra Dhammakaya Temple in Bangkok, Thailand. Most Venerable Pasura also becomes country honorary advisors of International Buddhist Society in Indonesia. We will have another events that called virtual MOU signing with IEBS in the end of this event. So please listen carefully and also keep your audio checked before you continue to his talk. And the time and floors is yours now, Most Venerable. Thank you.
Hello, Namo Buddhaya. Thank you very much for the introduction, and welcome everybody for the sessions that we're going to be having together. So at first I will be explaining about how to build the tranquility of mind, and then we'll open the floor just a little bit for the question and answer.
Yes.
So you want me to go on all in English without translation, right?
Yes, it's full in English.
Okay, cool.
Yes, because we already have live stream in YouTube.
Okay. That's
right.
Great.
Right.
So in that case, let me share the screen a bit.
Yes, we are seeing it right now.
Okay, cool.
Perfect.
So, as today, the topic that we're going to be talking about is tranquility of mind. So I would try to make it more practical rather than theoretical, because I think the most important thing is that how we can really build it up. In the case, and I have been giving this talk to a lot of Westerners actually ever since the pandemic started from last year, because one of the main key that people has been really frustrating, and then having a lot of students in Europe, in Latin America, and most of them really have the sense of being frightened and scared, and they take it a lot harder than us. I think one of the main reasons, because if you know the mindset of European, usually they plan their life a year ahead. So like if they're gonna go to vacation, they have purchased a ticket 1 year in advance, they book a ticket.
Sorry, Most Venerable, we can't viewing your screen. Maybe you got trouble with the... It is written you started the share screen, but we cannot see the slides, which is very helpful for us to get the visuals and the main points of what Venerable is talking about. So we are waiting for the slides. It's ready to be previewed by all of us. Hello, Venerable. Am I audible? Hello, Venerable. Bante Pasura? Yes, can you repeat, share the screen? Be patient, everybody. We have to make sure that all of you can see the visuals and the slides.
Yeah, I think it was the connection.
Yes. Now we can see it very clearly. Okay, go ahead, Most Venerable.
It was the connection. Sorry about the connection.
All right, no problem. Keep going.
Well, the main problem of a lot of people can't have the tranquility of mind, especially in the Western, because they usually plan or predict their life ahead for a very long time. So last year, all of the students have been discussing, asking questions with me that they feel insecure about the futures. And that's because they're not ready to be prepared for things that is always changing. So back to the concept, we talk about what the word tranquility of mind is. To be in basic, in Buddhist context, it's always about the mind that doesn't burn by the flame of desire. The mind that doesn't really have this kind of stimulation that they have to struggle to run, sprinting after something all the time. When the tranquility of mind is achieved, it will transcend into some other positive aspect, positive values that we all want to see in the society. For example, if my mind is at peace, is full of tranquility, it will be easy for me to love someone. I mean, truly love, not kind of passionate love, but love with the sense of compassion. I want to give someone to make them happy, to help others, feeling respectful, not so much on my side. But if my mind is not at rest, what I feel is that I'm being selfish. When I'm being selfish, I don't see people as people. I see people as something less than me. So it's easy for me to take advantage of them. So that is why we want to see the world becoming better. Tranquility of mind is the key, that if every single person achieves this, it will lead to not just ourselves, but the society and the world to be better. But the question is that, what really causes us to lose that tranquility of mind? That is actually what we need to discover in order to know how do we build it. Then let's take a look at very anthropological concept, in the very basic human being. You know that human brain is programmed for prehistoric time, since prehistoric time, to be fear. And that's actually manifesting in our brain. Actually, there are a lot of anthropologists that's doing researches and talking about that, how we still manifest the same brain, exactly the same as the caveman back in the Stone Age. And we still use the same brain functioning in the regular society as it is today. So one of the aspects that the human brain contains, and that's why human brain is so easy to be happy, because it's always in the state of fear. When you think about the caveman back 20,000 years ago, before caveman getting out of his cave, he got to have to think, where will I get my next meal? Because in that time, the society is still under what? Hunting, scavenging, right? They don't even have plantation. They don't even grow crops. So food security has always been an issue. It's been they're not going to know that if they go out, they're going to be able to hunt something or gather something or get the food for the next day. So there's always feeling this insecure. So that's why they have to feel this kind of being stockpiled. At the same time, they're going to have to look if there's a bear, if there's a tiger, if there's a lion. So every single step is always feel of insecurity and fear. As a result of that, that fear, since Stone Age, still manifests in our brain until today. I know that when I show you this, it's kind of ironic that we're still running away from the lion, just like in the Stone Age. But the lion that we have these days are not physical lion like this, but is what? It's a lion that appears in form of social acceptance, economic security. All of these things that we have been feeling, we're running away. We always fear that we're not going to get promotion. We're not going to get recognized by people around us. So we always manifest the very same fear. And that's why before the pandemic, you can see that one of the main issues in the world is mental disorder. Things like stress, things like anxiety, things like depressions are on the rise very high. So it's already on the peak anyway before the pandemic start. So now that it starts, people already have that mindset going to the pandemic, which is the main factor to make the whole thing work. So that is why this kind of mind causes us to always struggling for this. As I used to tell you, I was born like regular, like you guys. I became a monk at 28 years old. So for 28 years, what I have been doing was that I've been told to study hard in school, to get into good university, and then try to graduate in order to get a good job. And after working in a big corporate, don't forget to get married before 35 so that I can have 2 kids, send 2 kids to the best school possible, saving all money for them so that they can get married later on and hope to retire and have a stockpile of pension so I can die without much sickness. So it has always been everybody go to kind of run after like this. And you can see it's the same thing as the Stone Age mind. In the old days, cavemen lived together in the tribes to create something so-called security. They live together so that they can hunt together, they can protect each other, they can help each other to work. Nowadays, it's exactly the same thing. We live in the group, we're trying to make sure that we are part of it. That's why a lot of us trying so hard just to belong. Look at yourself. Sometimes you have friends, you have different mindset, different activities that don't really go in line with you. You don't even want to be there, but you try so hard just to get in. And when you do that, what do? You buy stuff. You're trying to buy these brand name items, try to dress the way that people around you will accept you into part of the society to feel belong. And if you can't do that, we feel insecure, fear of missing out. Especially in this Generation Z and Generation Alpha, which is going to be coming up. One of the main key that has been one of the really kind of mindset, the mentality of them is that fear of missing out is really the great things. Because due to the rise of social media, everybody can be seen anywhere at any time. So everybody want to be YouTuber. Everybody want to be TikToker so that people knows who I am. So fear of missing out, because if I don't update my profile on Facebook, my Twitter, people are not going to recognize where I am. And that is something that people can't take it. And then what? In order to be that, it takes a lot of work. So that's why they end up working very, very hard and try to make as much money as they can. So that is the main issue. Now let's put that aside. This has already been a original program in the mind before the pandemic. Now, all of these startup firms, we all know that as a Buddhist context, we talk about we are born with ignorance and avijja. When we're born, we know nothing, zero knowledge. We don't know what my name is. I don't know why I am here. I don't know what do I have to do. So when you're born, you don't even know your name. You don't even know who your parents are. You don't even know how to eat, how to walk, how to talk. You know nothing. And everything that you know now, you have to learn later. First question that I like to ask and you to think. You don't have to answer to me, but answer in your mind. Do you think that everything that you have learned since the day you were born until now are all correct? How many things that you have learned could be wrong? Because each thing that is wrong will make you create misdirection in your life. You will live your life in different path. Although you are born without much knowledge, but there are things that you really know. And that, I am hungry, I am in pain, I feel dirty. That is human issues on the bottom line, that everybody gonna feel this basic need. Just like animal feel that they're gonna be hungry, they want to survive. And that's why since the day we were born, we always scared. You see the baby always born crying. Have you ever seen any baby born laughing? Because each baby come out, no, I'm gonna be in pain, I'm gonna be the whole life of not knowing what I need to do, but I'm gonna have this kind of burning sensation to survive the whole time. So that is the bottom line of human being. And that is the program that we have before whatever it is. So what's going on is that this ignorance or lack of knowledge leading to fear. We fear of things that we don't know. If you walk into the room that is completely dark, imagine that. You don't know what's in there. The first thing that you feel is the sense of insecurity. Or I give you a box and I ask you to put your hand in the box without telling you what's inside the box. So your head is starting to imagine, right? Is there going to be snake? Is going to be spider? Is there going to be something biting my hand? And if I put something sticky in it, you're going to feel even scarier because you don't know what's going on. And that leads to sufferings. That is the human cycle of it. Ignorance leads to fear. Fear leads to suffering. And since we born with ignorance, that's why the set of fear and sufferings always exist in human lives. Each day, human beings live their life trying to overcome these immediate sufferings. Hungry, thirsty, feeling dirty, trying to be in group. So it's all been mentality. Without any other factors, just basic concept of the mindset itself. That's why human lives spending a whole lifetime searching for joy. I use the word joy because it's not happiness. The thing is that what really the opposite side of the scale between sufferings is happiness, and everybody wants that. But what I've been looking for is not happiness. It's that short moment where they can forget about problems for a while. What do you do when you feeling down? You turn on the music, you watch movie, you try to get some nice food, you travel somewhere on your vacation, right? Because all that make you forget about it for a while. Forget about what? Forget that I have to survive. I have to struggle in my life so much just to belong into the society. That is the joy searching, and humans spend a whole lifetime trying to fill the gap, which is because starting from the mentality. Then what's going on is that it's not fulfilling, because no matter how much people seek for this materialist, it won't be enough. They always feel missing the whole time. That's why you can say that even the richest person in the world may not be fully happy the whole time. He got the joy, but he doesn't have the happiness. Even in the brain itself, the hormone that released, that give us pleasure is dopamine, and happiness is serotonin. Pleasure or joy is addictive, short-term, and it feels in the body. And it's really make us, typically feeling alone when we do this eating, shopping, drinking, traveling, and the brain say, I want more because it can be addiction. While happiness is different things. You see, the stimulant in the brain is completely the other way around. It's spraying to the whole 14 receptors, and it's long-term. It's coming from feeling the sense of tranquility, peace, contentment. It comes from different sources. But we addict to the first one, the pleasure one, the dopamine. So that's why what's going on is that they're trying so hard to get this rush the whole time. And they don't really get it the whole time. So as a result, people doing this. In Buddhist text, the Buddha said, worldly happiness or worldly pleasure that a worldly person can have is one, have money. Of course, you have it, you're gonna need to pay for it. Then about free of debt, meaning that you don't have any burdens of debt. And then the last one, doing things that doesn't carry negative side of effects. That is actually basic things in life that most humans looking for. If I can get it, my life will fulfill. And that's what the Buddha said as a part of so-called worldly happiness. This is one of the oldest job in the world. What is the oldest job in the world? Fortune teller. You can see that ever since the ancient time, when you look at the movie, there always been an oracle. Take things out in the shamanism, try to predict what's going to be happening. Because something that human.
Your connection is breaking. The voices is lost. I can't hear your voice again, Venerable. It may causes by your connections.
Okay, hold on.
Sorry, everybody. Yes, the connection is unstable, so it causes the breakings of the voices.
Okay, now can you hear it?
Yes. Yes, go ahead, Venerable.
Okay. So, yeah. I explained that one thing that we always want to look for is the future. And the reason people want to see the future is because it's always unpredictable. They don't know what's going on. They don't know what's going to happen. So what they have been planning so much is to make sure that the future is secure. So that's why people want to plan, predicted, secure. That's what they want to do. They're trying so hard. Okay. And that against what? Against the very basic things that you know. The very basic things that you know is that the nature of the world, it doesn't work that way. The basic knowledge of the world is that under the three characteristics, everything in the world is impermanent, uncertain, which is also mean dukkha, hard to bear. Anatta, which means actually not self, but also can literally translate because it doesn't belong to you. You can't control it. Human wants to know the future because they want to predict, plan, control. That go exactly against the nature of things. So as a result of that, when we try to go against the reality, it's not going to happen the way they want to. Look at, you guys have been watching movie about vampire, right? the blood-sucking spirit. The vampire for me is a really kind of novel figure that representation the idea of human being that want to live forever, healthy and young with a good appearance, which is like the dream of everybody to be immortal. And it goes against the reality. That is the very reason why people spend a whole lifetime trying so hard to see the future so that they can predict it, to try to keep it permanent, not changing, and control. And that is the mindset. Because of the fear, if they can keep this permanent, certain control, life is easy, life is good. That's why you see the Westerner live their life exactly that way. Plan the vacation 1 year ahead. People in Europe, when they come to Bali, they bought a ticket 1 year in advance, book a hotel 1 year in advance. In Asian people, we don't do that. But the Westerner, they do. European, the American, they do exactly just that. They plan 1 year in advance. They buy everything 1 year in advance because they want to make sure everything is planned in their life. But they can't keep that up because that's not reality. And when it hit them with epidemic, they start to realize this is the reality that they don't know. Even they know, but they're trying not to really accept the idea that I can't control any aspect of my life. And that leads to what? Leads to suffering, because the whole lifetime, this is what people have been trying to do, attaching themselves to this perception of reality, to this creative illusion of reality that this is the way it should be. So they're attaching themselves and expect it to happen accordingly. And when it won't happen, what's going on will be they feel disappointment, guilt, shame, unsatisfied, feel that they are missing out. So this is actually what's going on, that they create this kind of bond of attachment between what they expected. If you have kids, what do you expect of your kids? Let's say you have a baby right now. What goes on in your head is not how to just raise the baby a few days. You already think of your baby boy, baby girl already growing up into graduate from university and have a job. So you already create the idea of how your baby should be, and you're attaching your idea to it, expect him to be exactly just that. And when it's not happening, what's going on? Disappointment. Have you ever noticed how many families were talking about that? I want my kids to grow up to be a doctor, to be a lawyer, to be a businessman, to be an engineer. When the kids turn out to be a musician, I can't take it. Become an artist, I don't want them to be. And these days, there are also new jobs that we don't understand, because the world has been changing. And a lot of parents still trapped in the old mindset that they want their kids to have these kind of ideal jobs and create conflict. And that's all because of the attachment expectation. And we do that, exactly that, to every little thing in life. Attaching yourself to the perception of reality and expect it to happen. So what is going on when we do that? It's not going to happen. And when it's not going to happen, then we don't have the peace of mind. So the word happiness, sukha and dukkha, I know that you will translate happiness and sufferings. But if you really break it down, the word itself is kind of ironic. The word sukh actually can also mean good or easy. And the word dukkha can also mean hard or bad. Why the word kha? It's actually the same as the word kante, which means patience. So when you say the word sukha as happiness, it can also translate as easy to be patient with, or easy to take, or easy to bear. While the word dukkha that we usually translate as sufferings can also mean hard to take or hard to bear, difficult to take. So what does that mean? Meaning what? What we think of life as happiness is actually some situation that make us feel less painful, something that we feel easier to take. For example, if you feel hungry, that is bad thing, right? But if you know that you have food in your refrigerator, you have bakso in your kitchen, your mind is at rest. It doesn't matter, right? Because you can take it easily. You know how to deal with it. If you want to have friends, you look into your Facebook, you found 300 people still your friend. You feel happy, easy to take. But what if the situation has changed? What if the situation is that you feel hungry, but you don't know where to get the food? You don't even have the money to buy it. It becomes harder to bear. That's what you call suffering right now. So even what we think of it as sufferings in the beginning, and happiness, it's just actually a version that we can take it easier. And that's why people want to make sure that everything in life is already set so that they can take it all the time. Think of it very simple. Every single day we deal with situation. Every single day you have to go to toilet, right? Anybody here don't go to toilet? You have to go to toilet. You have to pee. You have to poop. If you have the toilet, life is easy. You can pee. You can poop. But if you have the same need, but toilet is blocked. What's going on now? Same situation, different way to look at it. That is the thin line between dukkha and sukha. Whether you can take it easy or take it harder. The question would be how we can take every situation that comes into our life. And that is to break it out to look at something called reality. And that's what the Dhamma is all about. Because Dhamma means reality of the nature. We translate the word Dhamma as teaching of the Buddha, but the one before that, because the Buddha discovered what? Discovered the reality of things. And then he taught about it. And that's why it became the teaching of the Buddha. But reality of it is that the knowledge of reality that everybody can achieve. And then what bottom line is that two things that make life happier, at least at the beginning, easy to bear. Number one, body comfort. If you are hungry, you're not going to be happy. If you're thirsty, if you're dirty, you're not going to get it. So at least if you have a good night's sleep, have a good food, drinking water, body comfort is a good start. The second part, mind comfort, the comfort of the mind. If you get that, without much struggling, that you have to be someone the whole time, 2 + 1 + 1 equal happiness. And that's what contentment make it easier. That is because human body composed of body and mind. Now, the body part is easy because it's always about survival. Whether you're going to have to be dealing with this, because this is the nature of the body. You're feeling hot, cold, hungry, thirsty, the need to poop and to pee the whole time, for whole lifetime. For a lifetime, we gotta have to fix this. Even you're Indonesian, you're feeling hot because the weather is really humid and warm the whole day. Then you don't want to be out there the whole time. You need a shade, you need a shelter. In the Western, people can face snow down to -20 degrees centigrade. And then what? They can die from it. So they need to protect themselves, which means our body is not perfect. We need to look after these essence all the time. And that leads to what? Leads to the need to survive. With that in mind, that human has this nature, at the same time, our mind filled with illicit defilements that distorted the way we perceive reality. And we don't even know reality. So we create our perception of reality all the time. So mix that together, what you could imagine. One thing you need to survive, because all of this has been threatening your life the whole time. If you don't stay in shelter, it's way too hot. If you don't have clothing, it's uncomfortable. If you don't have food, you're going to be starving. Then you don't know what's going on in your life. That's what's happening. So basically, that's what we need to deal with our life. Shelter, clothing, food, water, toilet for the body part. For the mind, something else. And medicine from time to time in order to cure it. That's why this is what's going on in human mind. Survival equal consumption. For a lifetime, we can't avoid the concept that we have to consume. The first thing you do after you were born is to breathe. The first thing you do is to what? Consume the air. And then for a lifetime, you're going to have to keep consuming. And you just keep transfer the way we are consuming. But it hasn't changed since the old days. If you look at all conflicts in the world, all wars, all conflicts, where did it start? Economic problems. When some country wage war with each other, what do they want? Resources, manpower, territory. All of that's because they want to get something out of those people to make their life easier. I don't have to work so much. The Viking came from Scandinavia to England, to other parts of Europe, because it's way too cold for them to grow anything. They're hungry. So what do? Rob others. Why do we have to have bigger country? So I have more land for plantation. But plantation is so hard, takes a lot of labor. What do? Slavery. Have someone do it for me. You see that all of this unrest in the world starting from this economic drive that makes the whole become trouble. And then in this day, consumption comes in form of what? Shopping. And that's why we always end up excessively shop for things that we don't even need. Let me ask you a very honest question, and you answer this to yourself. How many stuff in your life that you purchase, not because you want it, but because you want someone to know you can buy it? How many stuff in yourself that you buy not because it's function, but because it is an indicator of who you are? If you answer that question to yourself, you're going to be realizing that we spend a great deal of money in things that we don't need. So if you want to put the tranquility of mind, at least the first thing first, make sure you have the right definition between need and want. Remember what I said about pleasure and happiness. As long as we keep following what we want all the time, the mind will not be at rest. It always be burned by the sensation of desire. It won't be enough because our want is never enough. Our need is always enough. So you can find out the difference between need and want by yourself. How to do so? Look inside. We spend a lifetime, actually human body is designed to look outside. We don't see our face. We see other people's faces. So what do? That person has a new watch. That person has a new car. That person has a new clothes. That person has this. We look outside, we judge, and then what? I want more. Instead of looking, do I need it? How many people here, your closet is already full of clothes, and a lot of them, at least half of them, you barely wear it. And then you still want more. So that is why, even though the pandemic comes and everything becomes constrained economically, socially, we still can't figure out between need and want. To do so, of course, is starting from the mind. When the mind is clear, we can take life a lot easier. Because just like water, when the water is clear, we can see what's inside. When the water is murky, we can't see what's going on, just like the mind. We see better decisions. And that decision helps us to choose peace, happiness, choose need over want, choose reality over expectation. But that's what we need, clarity. And that's why we've spent a great deal of time to meditate and stuff like that in order to get that clarity. So now that we covered this basic understanding of what behind our mentality, so let's break it down to the pandemic situation. Think of pandemic situation as life like this. I know you get curious, what's going on with this? So everything that's actually every single moment out in our life is like we undergo pressure. Think of it as a pressure. Pandemic, economic, losing job, having kids. These are new factor. It's like whenever there is new factor coming up, it gets steamy, just like this. If you're in a sauna and there are too much steam, what happens with you? You become suffocated. You can't breathe. It's become uncomfortable, right? Just like this kettle, when it's burning so much, what's going on is become too hot. So these are things that make us really, really kind of burning it up. This is just the steam generator or stimuli in life. Family, kids, self, health, finances, work, in general first. Basically, we already have these stimuli running all the time. How can we break it down into other types of stimuli? You can see that the more that is burned, the more it's triggered. The more that is going to be, having more heat. Depend also on what? On the size of your room. The bigger the size, the easier you contain. So, these fuel that trigger, something is one time off, which means like this epidemic, is bam, big one thing. Losing job is one major event. It's like suddenly there was a big explosion, a lot of steam coming up at once. So make you feel unsuffocated rapidly until you can't prepare for it. So that is the one time off. Number two is called regular issues. The pressure that's come as regular basics. It's like you feel it every day until you don't notice them. Like coming to work too much every day, the bills coming up at the end of the month every month. It's kind of, regular until you don't really notice. And the hardest one, and this is the kind of hardest one to deal because now the epidemic started to change from one-off into ongoing. What happened with you is that you feel like there is no end to it. And you keep expecting that within 2 months, the government is going to provide all the vaccine, situation is going to be resolved, everything is going to open up, I'm going to go back to work again. We keep thinking about next month. But then it keeps on going. It's like you in a steam room. That steam is just getting too much. And you tell yourself, in the next 5 minutes, it's going to cool down. But then after 5 minutes, it's not. 5 more minutes. Then what you get is not just uncomfortable feeling from your body, but this kind of feeling that agitation. When it's going to end. And you can't rush the reality to end it. But at the same time, you can't take because it started to become ongoing events. That's what pandemic today has transformed into. Think of this today and what happened last year. When you look at the same situation, when you look at the pandemic last year, what's going on with you guys? When we have vaccine, everything is going to be over, right? We're going to go back and start vacations, go back to our lives by the end of the 2021. But now what's going on is that you feel like it's going to keep pushing further and further and further. Who knows? Next year is going to be the same. And you see that ongoing pressure is becoming worse. So that depends on confinement. You see that any steam, any sauna, if the confinement, the size is small, it ends up making you feel more suffocated. But if the size is bigger, it allows you more room for it to circulate. So what are the confinement or limitations that we have that constrain us from keeping it intact? Time, schedule, resources, expectation. So these are limitations that kind of creating the variety of size, whether the size of our sauna room is big or small. More expectation, your room will be smaller. More money, your room is a lot bigger. If you have this kind of tight schedule on you, it becomes much smaller. Then how we can manage it? Yes, you can. You can manage it by seeing the size of your room, that how can you expand this limitation into yourself, at least starting from your mind, expectation. I said before how to relieve expectations, breaking it down to need and want. When you started to break it down needs and want, you are going to reprioritize things that this is what I need to have first. This is immediate need that I need to look after. And with that, you are able to start to take it easier. Otherwise, you're going to have too much on your plate, but you don't know what to pick first. When this pandemic started and things just get chaotic, how many of you started to feel like making this decision of life become much more difficult? And that's because there's just way too much on your plate. Then how can you make the right decisions? Reprioritize. They are always things that need you to take more attention first, and something can be later. And that's to break it down to step by step, which means when you can do that, you create the biggest size of your confinement, which means even though the steam is there, but it makes you feel less suffocated. That's start from expectation. And then down to what? To consideration of the resources and time that you put on yourself. Because these are the constraints that kind of trapping us the whole time. Make sure that it doesn't go overheat. Because when it's overheated, then when people can't take it normal, it becomes boom, explosion. And that's why in every sauna room, they have to have so-called thermostat. That thermostat is when the temperature is way too high. When way too high, you're going to have to what? Pause, adjust it. What I have said before, from one-off, regular, and ongoing. Now it's ongoing. The problem is ongoing is that we don't have the alert. We don't know when it's going to stop. We don't know it's keep rising up. So when we don't have the alert, we don't pause to adjust. It's like what? It's something that called boiling frog phenomenon. Do you know that if you put the frog in a pot and put the pot on a stove and you're starting the fire, the frog will not know that the water is heating up. And the frog will be boiled alive. It doesn't know that the water is heating up until it dies. But if the water is already very, very hot and you throw the frog into the water, it jumps off right away because it knows that's hot. This is what I want to use to explain to you about the ongoing process of the epidemic. Right now, we just like boiling frog on the left side because we don't set the alert of the mind. We can go to the bed the same feeling every single day. So it's like everything keeps heating up. Today is not like yesterday. It's not like last month. But we think about this in the same way. So what's going on will be we just keep rising it up until we can't take it normal. We're losing access to peace of mind. But when we are able to reset our mind from time to time, it's like we reduce the temperature to normal. So when it changes, like the frog on the right, that you know immediately that it's way too hot for you to re-regulate what's going on. So in every sauna, what you need is ventilation. If there is an exhaustion for the nice air to come in, for the heat to go out, make your life a lot easier to have the peace of mind. So first thing first, I know that now you have too many on your plate. Make it to smaller targets. Things that you can make a target for just tomorrow, the next day, breaking it down and fit that with the time. What is the right time to do something? Now you have constraint, put it into the plate. And then what do you need to put on the plate? And that will create the ventilation to make everything flow a lot easier too. Then don't forget, when things just way too much, break, ask for help, reset your mind. 3 things, 3 steps. Without the break, without pausing, without resetting, you're not going to detect the changing when the peace of mind is gone. Let me give you it a simple way. If your house is clean and you have a piece of paper of trash on your house, on the floor, can you see it easily? You can, right? But if your house is already full of stuff, full of trash on the floor, if I throw 10 more pieces of trash on the floor, do you feel the differences? No, you don't, because it looks the same. That's the same things when we are able to pause our mind from time to time. We bring it back to something called clarity. And that clarity has space, so we can detect when things change a lot easier to become more resilient to it. As a result, make sure that you know where to focus. Human mind has something to kind of really a kind of character. Anything the mind focus on will be magnified. Just like a magnifying lens. When you get angry and you focus on the face of someone who was yelling at you, how do you feel? Angrier. But at the same time, if someone gives you a present and you focus on how the person is nice, how do you feel? Happier. So the same things go. Whatever you choose to focus, make your mind feel different ways. So make sure that we learn how to respond. This is very Western concept that actually related to the same way as in Buddhist philosophy. We confuse between two things, react and respond. When someone yells at you, you yell back. That's called reaction. It's like you throw a ball to a wall, it bounces back, right? But respond is something else. Respond is when you take it, you have a short moment to take a reflection on what's going on, and then what should be my response. It's like instead of you throw a ball into a brick wall, you throw a ball into a sofa. It's soft, so it doesn't bounce back. And that's called respond. Right now, what we've been dealing with the epidemic that make our mind cannot be addressed is that we react to every single problem, every single thing that the government has been talking about, the new laws, all the measures, we react to it with feelings, with emotions immediately. We don't pause and take a look, what's going on with the laws, with the situation, and what are my conditions? How do I respond to it? What are my cause of action? Because when we don't do that, our reaction will create what? More returning action. It's keep bouncing back and forth, and make us feel not at peace. So, pause the mind. And that's why when we talk about meditation, it's not something that you do 1 hour, 2 hours a day. It's some things that you do many times in a day. Until you just have moments that you pause yourself to know where you are, where you started, to make a reflection on what's going on. And that will help you to regulate your steam room. When you are able to regulate this, that's when you can find peace easily. You can even make yourself a little mantra, adapt and adjust. We know about anicca dukkha anatta. Why do we need to know that? So that we understand that everything in the world is not going to be under our control, is always changing, so that we have to adapt to every single thing in life and adjust, that's all. In order for us to survive, we have to adapt. Don't live in fear, but live in the present. So, there are times when you just, accept and wait it out. If you're in steam room, and you have a glass of ice water, wait it out. If you always have this burning sensation or expectation that things have to end next month, all the time, it's not going to happen. So if there are things that you can't control and there are things that you can already do or has been completed, what you can do, just simply have to wait it out. And what you're going to be doing while waiting it out? Tapping your feet the whole time, or have a sip of nice glass of ice water. Your choice. So that's what I've been trying to explain simply about how to at least develop so-called tranquility of mind in this pandemic world. I'm trying to put it in the way that practical, because I don't want to be too theoretical, since most important thing, if we know how to deal with it, it makes life easier. So Like I said from the very beginning, human brain is designed to live in fear and insecurity. We can't avoid the fact, but you just need to know it. Now that we know, the second step is that how we can reprogram it. When we keep looking into the future, that makes our mind unable to rest. Bring it back to more present, and things will be a lot easier. But that's what I want to leave with you today.
Thank you, Venerable Pasura. I discovered one new term that I find myself very new, that the term sukha can be defined to easy to bear or easy to take. And then I check my wife downstairs whether we still have bread or something to be cooked later on the refrigerator and make sure that I'm happy right now. I'm in sukha condition. Thank you. That was very insightful and very enlightening for all of us right here fighting for this unpleasant situations. I know that Venerable have very limited time and then he will proceed to having lunch, but I should rush up to mention three big questions that need to be responded by Venerable Pasura. First, from Miss Ingrid, her question is about what is the easiest way to deal with the reality during COVID pandemic? Because as we know, most people panic and worry about the reality. This is reality, but we cannot control reality. How we should, the easiest way to deal with it, Venerable?
In a very, very Western way, they will say acceptance, not denial. You see that right now, what's been going on with this epidemic is that we're denying the situation a lot. We try to say, no, this is not happening. This is not happening again. But the moment we put that denial mindset in it, we always refuse to face it. And when we kind of refuse to face it, what's going on is that we are not trying to go into the next step, which is our response. We react to it all the time. As I explained, our reaction and response, right? So that's what's going on when we refuse the situation, the denying a situation that this is happening again, this is happening again. The moment that we accept that now, this is what's going on. This is external matters. I can't control it. Now, with this given situation, break it down to yourself. What do you need for it with the time frame? And then focus on that part first. In that way, you slow things down and start to building it up. And then you're going to be preparing yourself little by little step. And that's how you can start slowly dealing with it. If otherwise, if you don't start up from acceptance, it's like the frog in the pot that keep telling yourself there's no fire underneath. So then I'm going to jump. If you're going to jump, the first thing you're going to have to accept there's a fire burning right now. So it means the water is getting hotter. And that's what really when the Western psychologists are explaining is going to have to start accepting the reality of things, that this is what's going on. Not blaming who caused this, why this is bad. The moment you blame, you push responsibility on someone else.
The conspiracy, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But even though you blame, but does it change reality about yourself? It doesn't. You still need to do what you need to do. So blaming don't help. Accepting what's going on. I'm not saying like submitting and being despair. Accept that this is what's happening. And then now, what do we have to adapt to it?
Okay, so 3 keywords: acceptance, not denials, and see as it is. Questions number 2 come from Pak Sapardi, the rector of Stubborn Sriwijaya. His questions deals about the COVID-19 phenomenon has made the world community suffer a lot. What is the best way to change the way of we thinking toward happiness, the definition of happiness to the current situation of the state of dukkha?
If you talk about the whole world, it's kind of complicated because the definition of happiness in the world are all different. But with this given context of the happiness that we use in this session, which is so-called the contentment. So it's not about how people interpret in whether I have family, kids, money, and fame and stuff like that. It's more like how I can stay as content as I can. Contentment means this sense of fulfillment about what's going on with this given ability. So I have that, at least I got the same concept of peace of mind. And that peace of mind can also literally translate as happiness. But if the happiness concept that people still pursue in the same way as joy or pleasure, as I explained before, then they're going to be missing out a lot all the time. So that is starting to be by giving them, okay, take a look at what you got. Take a look at how you still at least having your life each day. And then whatever you think you can do it for the others, it gives you the other kind of pleasure too, the pleasure of giving. So in that way, it makes life become more meaningful. Sometimes when the situation is tough and we're just giving a little hand out, it makes us feel this kind of fulfillment, contentment. And that leads to happiness a lot easier. And rather than suck them into this kind of despair and blaming the whole time.
Right. Thank you. And the last questions is comes from Dr. Sulaiman, who asked about, we may have heard the reference to know the distinction between pleasures and happiness that already mentioned a while ago by Bante Pasura. However, the choice is often always focused on pleasure rather than achieving happiness itself. How to make the choice always stick on the goal of achieving happiness than just looking for pleasures in practical?
I will answer that in forms of questions. If you go to sleep tonight and you don't get up, that means today is going to be your last day. So the question to you means, if you know today is your last day of your life, what are you going to do? Think about it. Then it will be something else. It will not be making money, go to work, being famous and all that. You do something else. That is for the start for you to give the criteria, because you know what? Every single day of our lives, reality is, can be our last day. But we spend our life completely the other way around. If we know that today is our last day, we try to do something that we feel happy the most. And that is exactly the opposite side of what we are doing right now, completely. So if you take a look at that aspect and take a look at it yourself, that if I know today is my last day, this is what I'm going to be doing, because this makes me happy. The question would be, why don't you do it now? Why we always push it for later on? Because the thing that you have in answering in your mind are things that you always think that, okay, I will do it later. Okay, I know if today my last day of my life, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to see my mom and having a meal with her. And then what? What do you do now? You always say, maybe next month. I can call my mom later. You see that we're always pushing it to the other time, most of the time. So that at least give you easy criteria between pleasure and happiness. At least if you remind yourself once a day, if today is my last day, how do I want to live it? And you can start to pursue it, something more meaningful than something very superficial of pleasure.
This is very interesting. I would like to go deeper into what we call as a perception over reality. Human keep creating perception of the reality, not as reality as it is. And it built different conception and also philosophy of the reality itself. The $1 million question is that, what if pandemic remain long last forever? What kinds of perception or what kind of response we should build in terms of the tranquility, long last forever?
The thing is that every single day, ever since you're born till now, there are always so many pathogens and germs and disease that can be threatening your life. This is something new, deadlier than other things that we have known. But since you were kids, how many things you have been dealing with? Just simple flu to other types of disease. We have been finding all that. Why? Because we all have that kind of things in mind that if this is what's going on, this is how I'm going to deal with it. Remember the same thing as I explained about food and refrigerator. But with this pandemic, you started to feel hopeless that if I catch it, if this goes on, I don't know what to do. But reality is the same thing. Because it doesn't mean that even though you have all the cure, your body will be receptive to it. Ever since we were born, we know about cancer, and then who killed cancer yet? Nobody, right? So in reality, that's how we look at it in the very realistic aspect, that these kind of all diseases are already part of our life. We just have to be more prepared for it. So what we need to do, hygienic, of course, what we can do is do our report the best we can, to be more protective, to put more hygienic aspect of our life, to, go through all these measures that we have to be protective. That's just what we can, and be careful as we carry on with the rest part of our life. So that will help us to deal whatever is going on, because there will be something else all the time. You guys live in Indonesia. If there's no epidemic, then what? You have volcano, you have the smoke, you have the wood, the forest fire. There's always something else all the time. But because you know what's going on, it is no longer a problem that you can't bear, right? So the same thing. Look at it in that aspect. If this is keep going, then it will change the norm of my life. This is called new normal. Adjust to it.
Okay, as we already fulfill ourselves with tranquility, what is the best thing to do for the sake of others, like helping others to reduce their suffering caused by pandemic situation? As a Buddhist, what is the best thing to do currently, Venerable?
I would say that as a human being, what the world needs the most right now is a role model. The example of life that everybody can see. So if you achieve the state of peace of mind, make sure that you live your life like a big tree, that providing shade, shelter, fruit to the rest of the others. Look at what they need. Like I said before, at least happiness comes from body comfort, mind comfort. Look at people around you. What are they missing, and how can you fill it up? If what they're missing is body comfort, give that. If that what they are missing is mind comfort, give that. And mind comfort sometimes it doesn't have to be a lot. Sometimes it's as simple as listen. People, when they're in pain, sometimes they just need to have someone listen to them, to their story of pain and sadness, and that's more than enough. So you look at what is missing, and then if you already fulfill, the best next thing you can do is to reaching out.
We have 118 people joining us in the Zoom and more others in the YouTube live stream. So I just only collect one important questions from YouTube, which become the last of the last questions for today. The question is that, it is written in Bahasa Indonesia, but I would like try to interpret it. It's not easy to accept the situation. It's not easy thing to do. Is there any shortcut whether we can do it fast to accept the situation? Shortcut. Okay. How we can do it fastly in order to accept this current situations?
Make a daily plan, just one day at a time.
Daily plan.
Starting from that. I know that it's not going to be easy to accept the world's biggest issue at the moment. That is a normal part of life. But if you break it down that, okay, today, before you're going to bed, remember one thing. Your day begins when you go to sleep, not after get up. If you already plan the next day before you're going to bed, at least you resolve the issues and you have something to do. You have broken it down to smaller goals, smaller tasks. So then you started to take it as it goes, instead of trying to resolve, or if it doesn't change the situation in the next month, if the government doesn't change the policy next month, or it's always in the long future that a lot of things are beyond your control. But if you, before you go to sleep tonight, sit down, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and look at what is needed the most for you tomorrow that needs to be done. Then make it down to planning. When you break it down to smaller plan, it makes your life flow easier. And then it helps you to slowly accept what's going on easier as well.
Thank you, Venerable. I forgot to mention that the questions is raised by Bambang Utoyo and Miss Herlina Arifin. So I think we have come to an end of the sessions. On behalf of Sriwijaya State Buddhist College of Tangerang, Banten, we would like to deliver our appreciation to Most Venerable and hope one day you can come again to our campus after the situations is much more better. Before we close up and please the Venerable to leave the Zoom, I would like to invite Pak Sapardi as Director of Sriwijaya State Buddhist College of Tangerang, Banten to say a word. You can say it in Bahasa Indonesia. Pak Sapardi, please silakan memberikan ucapan terima kasih dan sambutan kepada Bante Pasura yang ada di Bangkok, Thailand, Pak Ketua. Silakan Pak Ketua. You are still muted, Pak Ketua. Can you please turn on your mic? Because it's live stream on YouTube, so we cannot change the edit later on. Pak Ketua, masih? Ya, oke.
Ya, oke. Namo Buddhaya, Bante. Semoga Bante sehat.
Sehat.
Namaskara buat Lumpo semua Bante yang ada di Bangkok. Kami keluarga besar Staphen Sriwijaya sangat berterima kasih. Thank you very much Bante. Bante bisa memberikan diskusi-diskusi menarik yang mencoba untuk membuat kita bisa belajar lebih banyak dari Bante. Tentunya harapan Staphen Sriwijaya ke depan Bante bisa membangun Sriwijaya dengan terus memberikan dukungan-dukungan agar Staphen Sriwijaya bisa maju dan bisa lebih berkembang, Bante. Tentu kami berharap bisa ada kerjasama MOU ya Bante ya. Saya kira sekali lagi terima kasih Bante. Semoga Dharma berkembang di bumi Nusantara tercinta ini.
Thank you, Most Venerable. Pak Sapardi said that he hopes that one day we can make further cooperations and we will sign a kind of MOU signing virtual after this meeting, and may the Dharma flourishes in Indonesia. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Most Venerable. Mari Bapak Ibu, I would like to invite you to Anjali to express our gratitude to Most Venerable's teaching today. Thank you, Venerable. See you later and stay safe and stay healthy. Namo Buddhaya Lumpo.
Namo Buddhaya. Same for all of you too.
Thank you. You may leave the Zoom. Baik Bapak Ibu, selanjutnya adalah penandatanganan MOU secara virtual yang akan diwakili oleh Ibu Cutima. Ibu Cutima bisa di spotlight. Oke, sembari menunggu spotlight, Ibu Cutima dari perwakilan IBS atau International Buddhist Society di Indonesia, saya mengingatkan kepada Bapak Ibu untuk mengisi daftar hadir dan juga mengisi e-sertifikat by request yang diisi oleh peserta sendiri. Mohon infonya disampaikan Pak Waluyo, panitia dari SACC. Silakan Pak Waluyo. Untuk info sertifikat dan presensi, Pak Wal atau?
Ya.
Oke, silakan.
Sudah disampaikan di ya.
Oh, baik, sudah disampaikan ternyata oleh Pak Waluyo di chat box. Silakan Bapak Ibu yang menginginkan e-sertifikat, mohon untuk mengisi link di chat box. Sertifikat akan dikirimkan langsung ke email Bapak Ibu semuanya. So for those who might want to have e-certificate or electronic certificate for this event, you can fill the form, the online form, which is already available in the chat box. Don't forget to write down your name correctly because the certificate will be sent directly to your email as written by yourself in the link of the form. Thank you. And don't forget to keep follow our social media for the further events, for special lecture and special talk hosted by Staphen Sriwijaya. Baik Bapak Ibu semuanya yang masih hadir, marilah kita saksikan penandatanganan virtual, MOU virtual antara Sekolah Tinggi Agama Buddha Negeri Sriwijaya dengan in the International Buddhist Society. Sudah dapat dilihat screen-nya Pak Ketua, Bu Cutima?
Ya, sudah dapat.
Iya, sudah lihat.
Baik, terima kasih. SABN Sriwijaya, Sekolah Tinggi Agama Buddha Negeri Sriwijaya, akan bekerja sama dan mengembangkan 3 pilar aspek Tridharma perguruan tinggi, yaitu pendidikan, penelitian, dan pengabdian kepada masyarakat melalui berbagai macam kegiatan, kerjasama, joining activities, dan juga hal-hal yang berkaitan dengan pengembangan pendidikan agama Buddha dan hal-hal yang berhubungan dengan kemanusiaan antara Staben Sriwijaya dan IBS Indonesia. Hari ini 20 Juli tahun 2021, the virtual MOU or Memorandum of Understanding signing between Sriwijaya State Buddhist College of Tangerang, Banten and the International Buddhist Society IBS
Tolong di foto saya.
The chairman of Sriwijaya State Buddhist College of Tangerang, Banten, as represented by Dr. Sapardi, SAGM Home, and the honorary advisors of International Buddhist Society, IBS of Indonesia, as represented by Most Venerable Pasura Dantamano and Ibu Cutima. Both parties have agreed with a good faith and mutual benefits to establish a cooperations with reference to the following provisions. This cooperation aims to mutually utilize and optimize the ability of each institution to implement, carry out, and improve the quality of Tridharma of higher education. The 3 principles of higher education, which include education, research, and service. Hari ini Ketua STABN Sriwijaya, Sekolah Tinggi Agama Buddha Negeri Sriwijaya, dengan International Buddhist Society yang diwakili oleh Ibu Cutima dari Indonesia, mengadakan kerjasama dengan maksud dan tujuan yang baik untuk melakukan kerjasama dan hal-hal yang berhubungan dengan implementasi, kerja bersama, dan mengembangkan kualitas Tridharma perguruan tinggi yang meliputi pendidikan, penelitian, dan pengabdian kepada masyarakat. Hari ini dilakukan penandatanganan. Mari semuanya untuk virtual applause dengan mengangkat tangan. Semoga Staben Sriwijaya dengan IBS dan juga teman-teman dari MBMI Indonesia dan Ibu Cutima dan teman-teman bisa bekerja sama di kemudian hari untuk pengembangan Buddha Dharma dan peningkatan mutu Tridharma perguruan tinggi. Thank you, Bu Cutima, for representing International Buddhist Society in Indonesia. Dan terima kasih juga untuk hari ini telah memfasilitasi kita mengundang guru kita, Most Venerable Lumpo Pasura dan Tamanto. Bu Cutima, kami persilakan untuk memberikan closing statement sebelum kita close Zoom-nya. Silakan Bu Cutima.
Selamat siang, Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya.
Sebelumnya saya mengucapkan terima kasih banyak kepada pihak SABN Sriwijaya yang selama ini kerjasama dengan MMI dan IBS-nya dengan baik. Dan setiap tahunnya juga banyak siswa dari Sriwijaya menang juaranya, luar biasa. Hari ini saya sangat senang sekali bisa kerjasama lagi ya, dan seperti MOU ya hari ini. Semoga kita bisa sukses untuk memajukan agama Buddha dan kita semua bisa jadi satu ya agama Buddha di Indonesia. Anumodana.
Anumodana. Terima kasih Ibu Cutima. Untuk penutup, marilah kita sama-sama berdoa menurut agama dan kepercayaan kita masing-masing. Semoga pandemi COVID-19 ini tidak hanya terjadi di Indonesia, tapi juga di seluruh belahan dunia segera usai, dan juga kita kembali kehidupan normal seperti sedia kala, seperti sebelum pandemi. Bapak Ibu, mari kita sama-sama melakukan moment of silence atau meditasi selama 5 menit, kemudian akan ada upacara penutupan. Silakan untuk melakukan moment of silence. Meditasi mulai. Semoga dunia sembuh kembali. Semoga khususnya bangsa Indonesia dapat sembuh kembali dari pandemi COVID-19 ini. Semoga yang sedang sakit, yang sedang dirawat di rumah sakit, semoga mereka yang sedang isolasi mandiri, semoga perekonomian bangkit. Semoga mereka yang sedang tertimpa musibah segera bangkit. Semoga mereka yang sedang menderita segera bertemu jalan keluar. Semoga pandemi COVID-19 ini segera berlalu. May all beings are happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Terima kasih Bapak Ibu. Saya persilakan untuk panitia Pak Waluyo untuk mengambil foto dan nanti akan dibuka semua mute-nya. Silakan Pak Waluyo untuk ngambil foto. Mari buka on cam Bapak Ibu, karena nanti ini akan masuk ke sosial media Stubborn Sriwijaya dan juga sosial media MBMI. We will go famous, so please put yourself on cam. Pak Waluyo, please, time is yours.
Ya. Ya, mohon dibuka kamera terlebih dahulu, Bapak Ibu. Kita ada cukup banyak ini. Ya. Ada yang masih ingin membuka kamera?
Ya, silakan dibuka Bapak Ibu kameranya. Nggak apa-apa, latar belakangnya
Ya, mohon
lagi di
tahan
dapur
senyuman
atau
sebentar.
di mana, it's okay. It doesn't matter your background, whether you're at kitchen, in the bed.
Tahan senyum sebentar karena ini bisa berbeda untuk masing-masing slide ya.
Smile, put your best smile.
Ya. Cukup.
Oke. Terima kasih. Silakan dibuka mute suaranya dan bilang sampai jumpa. Namo Buddhaya, silakan. Sampai jumpa. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih. Namo Buddhaya.
Ya, Namo Buddhaya.
Slide
Sampai
berapa?
ketemu. Jangan lupa untuk
Terima kasih Bu
mengisi.
Cutima. Namo Buddhaya.
Terima kasih Bu
Sampai
Cutima.
jumpa pada acara mendatang tanggal 26 Juli. Iya. Kami sudah punya posternya, akan dibagi untuk yang ingin mendaftar sekarang sudah bisa.
Baik, terima kasih.